Let me ask you this. What if the dumbest people on Earth became the ones running it? Sounds like a ridiculous comedy, right? Well, that's exactly what Mike Judge explored in his cult classic Idiocracy. But here's the crazy part. This movie didn't just make dumb jokes about the future. It accidentally predicted a lot of the world we live in today. Here are 20 jaw-dropping facts you've probably never heard. Let's saddle up.
Number 1.
The story didn't start in a Hollywood office. It started in Disneyland. While waiting in line for Peter Pan's flight, Mike Judge overheard two moms cursing at their toddlers. That moment hit him. If people like this keep raising kids like that, the future is in trouble. That's where the concept of Idiocracy was born.
Number 2.
Before it was called Idiocracy, Judge wanted to name it the United States of America, but spelled out in a slurred, dumb way. The studio hated it, thinking it was too offensive. So after a lot of arguments, they settled on Idiocracy.
Number 3.
Here's where it gets weird. Fox basically dumped the movie. No posters, no trailer, no marketing. Some theaters even listed it as Untitled Mike Judge Project. Even the cast, like Maya Rudolph, didn't realize it had been released until it was already gone.
Number 4.
The production was a mess. Shooting days were canceled, extras were fired, and sets had to be reused. They were so low on money they had to blur brand logos instead of digitally removing them. Some crew members even waited weeks to get paid.
Number 5.
While playing a time-traveling prostitute in the film, Maya Rudolph was experiencing something much more important in real life, becoming a mom. She had her first child with director Paul Thomas Anderson in 2005, right as the film was struggling to get released.
Number 6.
Believe it or not, Terry Crews almost didn't become President Camacho. The studio wasn't sold on him. They thought he was too unknown at the time. So they made him audition not once, not twice, but 5 separate times. Imagine that. One of the most memorable characters in the whole film was nearly played by someone else.
Number 7.
By the 5th audition, Crews was exhausted and almost ready to quit. But instead of holding back, he unleashed the over-the-top energy, shouting, flexing, and pure chaos that we now know as Camacho. The casting team couldn't look away. At that moment, it was obvious. Nobody else on Earth could play this ridiculous gun-wielding pro wrestler president.
Number 8.
Mike Judge told extras to act dumb, but some went overboard. One guy humped props, another mimed racist jokes. Judge cut those takes out because he wanted the stupidity to be funny, not mean-spirited.
Number 9.
Forget aliens or nukes. In Idiocracy, civilization collapses under a mountain of garbage. Judge pulled that idea from real-life headlines about America's growing waste problem. Funny in the movie, not so funny when you think about today.
Number 10.
The costume team needed footwear that looked futuristic, but also ridiculous. They found this odd little shoe called Crocs, which at the time was so new and unpopular that most people had never seen it. Mike Judge thought they were so ugly that they'd never catch on. So he used them as a running gag, proof that only a dumbed-down society would wear something that ridiculous. And then, reality laughed in his face. By the time Idiocracy came out, Crocs exploded in popularity. They became one of the most recognizable shoes on the planet. So a joke about the future turned into fashion reality. That's why whenever people rewatch the movie today, they don't see a futuristic gag. They see half their neighborhood wearing Crocs.
Number 11.
Almost everything in the movie was exaggerated for laughs, except Fox News. Mike Judge barely touched it. He said in interviews that Fox News already looked like it belonged in Idiocracy, so there wasn't much to parody. Think about that. In a movie with Costco as a mega city, Starbucks turned into a brothel, and electrolytes replacing water, the real-life news channel was already dumb enough to fit right in without a single joke added. That's why this detail hits so hard. It wasn't a parody, it was reality.
Number 12.
One of the dumbest parts of the movie is the in-universe TV show Ow My Balls. Just a guy getting hit in the crotch over and over again. At the time, Judge thought this was the lowest form of comedy possible. But then came Jackass, America's funniest home videos, and eventually YouTube fail compilations, where millions of people would tune in to watch exactly that. People getting hurt for laughs. Fast forward to TikTok, and the gag has basically become one of the cornerstones of internet humor. Judge wasn't exaggerating, he was predicting.
Number 13.
Idiocracy takes shots at Starbucks, Costco, Carl's Jr., H&R Block, and even Foodtruckers, which Judge renamed into something much cruder. The funny part is how they pulled this off legally. Fox's lawyers realized that if the film mocked all brands equally, no single company could claim unfair treatment. So instead of targeting one brand, Judge spread the satire across dozens of them. That's why you see Brondo replacing water, Carl's Jr. running parenting ads, and Costco being so massive it basically has its own zip code. It wasn't just for comedy, it was smart legal strategy.
Number 14.
Here's the irony. Idiocracy makes fun of dumb movies succeeding while smart, creative ones fail. And what happened? The exact same thing. Fox refused to promote it. It made almost no money at the box office, and it was forgotten in theaters. Meanwhile, movies like Epic Movie and Meet the Spartans, lazy parodies with fart jokes, were making millions. Idiocracy literally predicted its own fate. The movie became living proof of the warning it was trying to give.
Number 15.
When Idiocracy first released, Mike Judge insisted it was just a dumb comedy with a message. But over the years, as real-world politics, media, and trends started to look suspiciously familiar, he changed his tune. In later interviews, he admitted that the movie felt less like a comedy and more like a documentary about the future. That's why the film suddenly feels so relevant again every few years. It wasn't just entertainment, it was a blueprint for what happens if society stops caring about intelligence.
Number 16.
In 2016, during one of the most heated U.S. elections in history, Judge and Terry Crews pitched an idea to bring President Camacho back in mock campaign ads. Imagine turning on the TV and seeing Camacho with his machine gun, yelling political slogans in between real candidates. Fox shut it down immediately, saying it was too close to reality. And honestly, they weren't wrong. That's how blurred the line between satire and real life had become.
Number 17.
When the film first released, critics trashed it. They called it lazy, mean-spirited, and even snobbish. But after it hit DVD, something weird happened. College campuses and late-night dorm rooms embraced it. It became a cult hit, passed around like a secret film only smart people got. Soon, quotes like "Welcome to Costco, I love you," or "Brondo has electrolytes" became part of pop culture. It was one of those rare cases where the audience, not the critics, decided a film's legacy.
Number 18.
In Idiocracy, Brondo isn't just a gag, it's a huge part of the story. It's the neon green sports drink that everyone in the future is obsessed with. They use it for everything: drinking, showering, even watering crops. Why? Because it has electrolytes. That phrase became the joke of the movie. People don't even know what electrolytes are. They just repeat it because the commercials say so. Now here's where it gets wild. After the movie gained cult status, a group of entrepreneurs thought, what if we made Brondo for real? Not as a movie prop, not as a collector's item, but as an actual drink you could buy. So in 2007, just a year after the movie came out, Brondo hit real store shelves. They recreated the exact branding, bright neon bottles, the same logo, the same ridiculous slogan. Fans could finally buy Brondo the Thirst Mutilator and drink it for themselves. It wasn't just a parody drink either. It had caffeine, electrolytes, and was marketed as an energy drink. The drink started showing up at Comic-Con, gaming conventions, and online fan shops. For a while, people loved the novelty. It wasn't Pepsi or Gatorade. It was something that made you feel like you were living inside Idiocracy. But here's the thing, it didn't last. The hype died down after a couple years, and the company behind it went out of business. Today, Brondo cans are collector's items. If you go on eBay, people still sell unopened cans for ridiculous prices. And that's the perfect irony. A fake product created to make fun of marketing brainwashing got turned into a real product because of marketing brainwashing. The line between satire and reality blurred so hard, it looped back on itself. Think about it. Idiocracy was making fun of people buying things just because a flashy commercial told them to. And then years later, people literally bought Brondo for the exact same reason, because the movie told them it was cool. Mike Judge couldn't have written a better punchline if he tried.
Number 19.
If you're a fan of Mike Judge, you know he has a style. He doesn't just make jokes, he builds entire worlds out of satire. And one of the coolest Easter eggs in Idiocracy is how it connects back to his earlier film, Office Space. Now, Office Space came out in 1999, and while it didn't do well in theaters at first, it eventually became a massive cult hit, just like Idiocracy. It was the ultimate takedown of corporate office culture. TPS reports, soul-sucking cubicles, and a boss who ruins your weekend with one smug sentence. So when Judge made Idiocracy, he brought along some of his favorite actors from Office Space. For example, David Herman, who played Michael Bolton, the software guy who hated sharing his name with the singer, shows up again in Idiocracy. And then there's Stephen Root, who played Milton, the guy with the stapler. He also appears in Idiocracy. It's not just recycling actors. It almost feels like Judge is creating his own little satire multiverse. Office Space was about the stupidity of corporate life. Idiocracy is about the stupidity of the entire future. By bringing in the same actors, he ties the two together, almost as if these are different chapters of the same big story. A world where stupidity slowly creeps in until it becomes the norm. And fans love this connection. People still debate online. Could Office Space be the prequel to Idiocracy? After all, both movies show societies where laziness, incompetence, and corporate nonsense take over. Milton burns down his office, while Brondo destroys crops. Different scales, same theme. Whether you see it as a true cinematic universe, or just Judge having fun with familiar faces, one thing's clear. His satire builds layer by layer. If Office Space is about how we waste our lives working for dumb companies, Idiocracy is about what happens when those dumb companies take over the entire planet.
Number 20.
A lot of people think Mike Judge just dreamed up Idiocracy out of nowhere, but the truth is, the idea has deep roots in classic science fiction. The biggest influence comes from a 1951 short story called The Marching Morons by C.M. Kornbluth. The story paints a chilling future. Smart, educated people have fewer children, while less intelligent people reproduce more. Over generations, society fills up with people who don't think critically. Eventually, the few intelligent humans left are completely outnumbered and forced to run everything behind the scenes. Sound familiar? That's basically the blueprint for Idiocracy. Judge read the story when he was younger, and it stuck with him. Decades later, when he saw what was happening in real life, consumer culture, dumbing down of media, corporate slogans replacing actual thought, he realized it wasn't just a science fiction idea anymore. It was a trajectory. What makes this so powerful is that Kornbluth's story was written over 70 years ago. People in the 1950s were already worried about society getting less intelligent. Judge took that fear and updated it with modern elements: energy drinks, trash mountains, reality TV, and celebrity presidents. By connecting Idiocracy back to a classic sci-fi story, Judge turned his comedy into something much bigger. It's not just a dumb comedy with fart jokes. It's part of a long tradition of dystopian warnings, like Brave New World or 1984. Except instead of Big Brother watching you, it's corporations selling you Brondo. And maybe that's what makes Idiocracy so haunting today. It's not just that it's funny, it's that the core idea has been haunting us for decades, and we keep marching closer to it without realizing.
Bonus.
Now, if you've stuck with me through all these facts, this last one is going to blow your mind. Because Idiocracy isn't just a dumb comedy with surface-level jokes. It's packed with tiny details and hidden Easter eggs that most viewers completely miss. And once you notice them, you'll never watch the movie the same way again. Let's start with the opening sequence. You remember the part where the narrator explains how smart people stopped having kids while everyone else multiplied? It's funny, it's sad, and it sets up the entire movie. But if you pause that scene and actually look closely at the family tree, you'll see some hilarious surprises. One of the branches includes none other than Hank Hill, the propane salesman from Mike Judge's King of the Hill. Yep, Judge actually slipped in his own animated character as part of the Idiocracy bloodline. That means technically, the universe of King of the Hill exists in the same world as Idiocracy. And honestly, that kind of makes sense. Hank Hill would definitely be the type of guy shaking his head at a future where crops are watered with sports drinks. But that's not all. If you keep looking, you'll spot something even stranger. A goat. Yep, a literal goat is listed as part of the family tree, like it's just another member of the family. No explanation, no joke made about it. It's just there. That's classic Mike Judge humor. He doesn't even need to call it out. He just drops it in like an inside joke for the most observant fans. And it's not just in the family tree. Throughout the entire movie, little background details are constantly roasting our culture. Signs in the background have deliberately misspelled words. Products have absurd slogans. Even the Starbucks parody hides extra jokes, like offering full-release massages, which is Judge taking the joke way further than you'd expect in a mainstream comedy. There's even a theory among fans that some of the smaller characters in the movie are subtle callbacks to other Judge projects, like Beavis and Butt-Head. It's never been confirmed, but given Judge's sense of humor, it wouldn't be surprising at all if a few background extras were modeled after those two idiots. The point is, Judge didn't just make a dumb comedy. He made a movie that rewards rewatching. The more you pay attention, the more you realize how much detail went into painting this stupid, hilarious version of the future. And here's the part I love the most. By packing the movie with these tiny details, Judge created a film that gets smarter the more you notice how dumb it is. The movie looks brainless at first glance, but if you actually watch closely, you realize how much effort went into making it look that way. That's the genius of Mike Judge. He makes something that seems stupid on the surface, but it's secretly one of the smartest comedies ever made. So now I want to hear from you. Did you ever notice Hank Hill in the family tree? Did you ever catch the goat? Or do you have your own favorite Easter egg from Idiocracy that I didn't mention here? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to see how many of you have spotted these hidden gems. And before we wrap up this video, you already know what I'm gonna say. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Idiocracy, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss my next video. Because here's the truth. In a world that's getting closer to Idiocracy every single year, the best way to fight back against stupidity is by sticking together, learning more, and laughing about it along the way. So let's keep this community growing. Smarter, funnier, and way more aware than President Camacho's cabinet ever was. Thanks for watching, and as they say in the movie, welcome to Costco, I love you.